right, everyone. Welcome back to Philosophical Fall Guy. This is episode 2 with Corey Eubanks. Buckle up as we continue this exciting ride with one of the top stunt drivers in the business.
Broke bones, burnt flesh, blown out knees, crashed 2 helicopters, through the trees, jumped a horse from a train, going 20, done lots of crazy shit, just for the money. Take 1, 2, take 3 and 4, I sell my body for a living like a Hollywood whore. Think you're tough? Think you got what it takes? Well, in my line of work, you pay for your mistakes. Hollywood stuntman, I'm a dying breed. Hit the ground, you deal with the pain. Nobody wants to know your name. Hollywood stuntman, they love to see me win. You're playing with fire, you're gonna get burned. Tomorrow it just may be your turn. That's my face you'll never see.
Yes, and I think a lot of stuntmen and stunt women, stunt performers, let's call them, are cheating themselves because they're so afraid of failing in front of everybody that they're not executing all of their athleticism and all of their heart and all of their skills, and because they're being held back by what if I mess up? So what? And that's another thing. We as stunt performers, we don't get that many shots at it.
No, we don't.
I remember doubling Robert De Niro on Midnight Run, and he had 17 takes. He and Charles Grodin to do one little scene. Yep. Not a scene, one little thing.
Yeah.
17 takes. Have you ever had 17 takes? Have you ever had 7?
If it wasn't just me, but if it's something that's as a group of people doing something together.
Maybe.
Yeah. But
my God,
just because of different angles, mostly, you know.
But there's that I would say the norm is we don't have that many takes. You got maybe a rehearsal, or maybe you don't have a rehearsal. Many a time, God, I've lost count how many times I've had to step into a vehicular stunt, because we especially working for Michael Bay. I've done every single Transformers movie,
right?
And he's just like, let's go. You don't rehearse. No, we're going to shoot it. And so you're relying on your instincts and your common sense and thinking back into your mental notebook of all the things but you go, this is not the time or the place to be conservative. You got to go for it, knowing that the more I just go for it, I'm increasing the chances of my failure, but I'm also increasing the chances of it looking spectacular, and that's going to lead to another job because they want something that you've done that looks spectacular. So those, I think, that are holding back the reins, if you will, are just cheating themselves. And I think sometimes you go, hey, you might get lucky.
Yeah. That's a cool thing to bring up. I remember when I first started being on set around stunts, because I came up through the live shows. I did tons and tons and tons of live shows through the years, and then gradually starting to get on set. And for some reason, I don't know if I've been told or I got some impression that when you get on set, it's a movie, it's professional, it's organized, everything's rehearsed, everything's planned out, and it just goes smoothly. And I was surprised to find out that's not the case at all.
That can be further from the truth. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so chaotic, and sometimes there's been times I've heard the word action and I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to do something. I'm going to take a bullet hit and just fall right.
I'm going to do something. I hope they like it.
It's funny that working with Michael Bay, the intensity, he's such, the passion that man has for filmmaking, but it's full throttle.
Yeah. Right.
And I think sometimes would just assume that we knew what he wanted. So I would study him walking, knew what hand gestures he made. Oh, that's going to be the super techno crane and what.
Smart.
And then I would go and I'd talk to the script supervisor and, what's your interpretation of what this shot is? She goes, well, I really don't have a clue. Oh, okay. I'll go and ask the DP. I'll ask the cameraman. I'll ask, John Fraser, the special effects man. I'll ask, Kenny Bates, the stunt coordinator, or Mike Gunther, the stunt coordinator. And I'm getting little pieces of information. Because I'm driving the Bumblebee, and usually I'm right in the mix of it. But like you were saying, a lot of times I wouldn't do a shot, never having had direction, but just from the pieces of information that I picked up, I think this is what we're doing. And I just freaking go for it,
Yeah.
Well, those fun times.
I love that because that so far everybody I've had on my show, this kind of came up, is that go time mentality that stunt people have, because like you were saying, if you have that timidness that's holding you back, when they say action, and there's nothing worse than when you hear cut and it's like, oh, that's it, or oh, that's that, and you're like, no, give me another shot. I was just giving it 80% or something, but
yeah, because you were holding back.
Because you're holding back, because you're like, you don't want to.
But they were happy with what they saw. And you're like, I only gave you a 7. I gave you a 10, but I gave you a 7.
I gave you a 7, but
it worked for camera. We loved it. We're moving on. You're like,
yeah, but that mentality of just going for it is something that so far everybody I've talked to successfully in stunts, that's something they have in common.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. There's something else I'd like to bring up. There's a couple things hopefully we could talk about. One of them is this, that people were oblivious to. There's been numerous suicides in our industry, at least of my peers, my friends. Mm-hmm. Ed Ulrich, John Cochran, who's the guy I'm thinking of? Scott Workman, big guy. The list can go on and on. And I wonder if you think about it, because I've felt this way a couple of times, and where our lives sometimes, here's an analogy. Okay, Tom Cruise. Well, hey, we're going to drop this thing down and it could kill him. Oh, gosh, we can't kill Tom. Hey, put Corey in there. Mm-hmm. Oh,
I'm expendable.
I'm expendable. My life's not. Let me get my mother over here, and she,
right.
Ask any mom on the face of the earth if their child is not important to this world. And so I think subconsciously, whether you know it or not, you absorb this message that's being given to you over and over and over. If you get hurt, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
If you get killed, we move on, we shoot, we keep going because we got the star. And so I don't know if that's why some of my friends that have killed themselves, that were very good careers. I mean, Ed Ulrich at the time was doing a movie called Mice and Men. He had his brand new gold Rolex. He had his brand new convertible Mercedes. This is back in the 80s, living high, just living the dream. And he hangs himself in his garage. And Scott Workman killed himself, and John Cochran and a couple others. But I just wonder about that, because I don't think that the stunt community, and also I'm at that point in my career where I really don't give a shit what people, I can't believe what you said. That's too bad. I don't care.
That's why I like having you guys on my show.
I always like to say,
no holding back.
Yeah. It'd be humanly impossible for me to care less what you think. But it's just, there's such a lack of respect for the stunt department, the stunts. I remember years ago we were doing a film and we were climbing out of the van, a bunch of stunt guys, and Billy Burton was with us. It was on Hollywood Beat, and one of the PAs or second said, "Oh, the stunt puppies are here." And Billy Burton turned and grabbed this guy by the throat and pinned him up against a chain link fence. He says, "Say that again." And I'm like, whoa. And it's like, why are we calling names? Why are we calling stunt puppies? We're not stunt puppies. We're stunt performers.
Stunt performers. That's not a big deal to me, but I don't prefer the term stuntees even.
Me either.
I think that's lowering us. We're performers. We're stunt performers.
Stunt performers.
Yeah.
And we're above the line. We're in the cast right there. I remember one time I was on a show, had a bad knee wreck from a bareback horse that fell on me on the weekend, but I was working on a show, and I went and one of the set chairs said cast, and I went and I sat on it. And this second AD came in, goes, Corey, get up, that's for the cast. I go, technically I am cast. I'm in the Screen Actors Guild. It's the same union. And by the way, if you have the book on you, the bylaws, I'm supposed to have a chair on set. I'm above the line in the thing. I'm not trying to have an ego about it, but I have a bad knee. There's 6 or 7 cast chairs here. No one's sitting in them. Why can't I sit in the chair that by the bylaws of my union I'm supposed to have. Mm-hmm. And also, like I mentioned, I've been doing this 43 years. I still get paid scale. The only time I didn't was when I was doing Transformers. I got above scale because I was the Bumblebee driver and I was doubling Mark Wahlberg and I was also playing a part of a Army guy. I was doing all these multiple things, so I was getting paid above the SAG weekly rate. Mm-hmm. But normally we just get to scale, right? And then the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was this. I'm tickled to death. I got to win some awards. What was a cool thing? I got to meet Dietrich from Red Bull.
Oh yeah,
in Austria.
Cool.
Yeah, what a nice man. Because if it wasn't for him, the Taurus World Stunt Awards wouldn't even exist, right?
Yeah.
He'd spend $3 million out of his own pocket to put on the awards for us.
That is cool.
Yeah, but it just a wonderful man. It's a shame that he's gone. But you go, how come there's not an Oscar category for the stunt department? Why is that? And then yet you watch the Oscars a few years ago when it was the Mad Max.
Yeah.
In Australia.
In Australia, yeah.
Phenomenal stunts. Unbelievable. For best costume designer, but we're watching footage of the stunt guys.
Yes.
For best special effects. We're watching.
It's always a stunt in the.
It's always the stunt men and stunt women that we're watching, but there's not a category. But thank God in the Oscars there's a category for best foreign short animated film. Have you ever watched the best short foreign animated film? Who cares? So now I understand that they've finally provided. I mean, I know Jack Gill's been pushing for years and years, trying to say, "Hey, guys, you guys aren't really. It's not really art that you're doing. Really, creating the illusion of danger
is not art.
It's not an art to it.
There's a big. Oh man, yeah.
It's not that you don't know. You don't know that you don't know, because you don't know what we do. Mm-hmm. And the other thing, our capacity, we're involved in.
I think they're just afraid that the stunt guys, if they get in there, they're just going to take over. They're just going to take over the Oscars. Like if they
they're going to pan the camera to the stunt department, which they should, by the way. Like I say this because I know I'll never win an Oscar. I'm on the backside of my career and I don't care. But let's give credit where credit is due. But they fabricate this title, action designer. Did you know about that?
Mm-hmm. I've heard of it. Yeah.
That's not backed by a union. It's not recognized by any union.
Right.
I've never seen that on a call sheet. No. They just made their stunt coordinator.
It's never been in the credits. Really.
Yeah, but it's a fabricated. It has no merit to it. It's not backed by anything. Yeah, it's just like it's a made up title. Mm-hmm. There's stunt coordinator. There's stunt man. There's stunt woman. Mm-hmm. Why don't we do that?
Everybody knows what that is.
Why don't you have the best stunt coordinator, man or woman? Doesn't matter what sex you are. Best stunt man, best stunt woman. Because where it's going to get confusing and it's not fair is action designer. Well, who designed that stunt? Was it the writer who wrote the screenplay, who wrote in detail what that stunt's going to be? Or was it the second unit director who was talking to the director? I dare you to go to Michael Bay and say, hey, we're going to have best action design. Michael's like, I designed that stunt. Mm-hmm. It said on paper, the spectacular crash.
Yeah.
He's the one who went out and said, here's what we're going to do.
Right.
And this is what I want. Mm-hmm. Well, that's designing, right?
Yeah.
So who's going to get the credit for that? I think it's going about it the wrong way, in my opinion.
Yeah. Why? Like, just keep it under what it's been in the business for all these years. Like, keep it clear.
Yeah. And also, having been a stunt coordinator myself and a second unit director, and I've actually, going back to the IMDb thing, I've done over 80 second unit directing credits. 80.
What did it have?
Film and TV. Let's go all the way back to Stephen J. Cannell when I did a show called Sunny Spoons with Mario Van Peebles in 1995. I directed second unit, I don't know, like 30 episodes of that.
Yeah.
Silk Stockings, Renegade, Earth Girls Are Easy. I've done all kinds of films and TV shows, and I'll never get credit for it. I was second unit director on The Wedding Planner with Matthew McConaughey and Jennifer Lopez, 9 days, and don't even get screen credit for that.
What?
Yeah, it's great. So give credit where credit is due. Not in the film business, they don't. So yeah, I just think that it. I don't know where I was going on this little tangent that I throw every once in a while. But yeah, I just think it's not fair to the stunt performers. They should have best stunt coordinator, and then have best stuntman and stuntwoman. Oh, I think I know what I was going to say. Oh yeah, let's say you're stunt coordinating a movie, and do you know much? Are you a fire? Do you do fire?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do fire.
Okay, that's the bad example. Then what's something that you don't have much knowledge in? Or are you one of those well-rounded guys? You kind of know everything.
Yeah, I kind of do horses. I kind of do I'm doing driving now. I do some fire fights. I've done. I mean, came up doing fights in high falls and stuff. So.
Okay, what about underwater work?
Yeah, I don't know much about that one.
Okay,
yeah,
let's use that as an analogy.
Okay,
you just got hired to do this movie because you know the director and he loves you, and you're going to be the stunt coordinator. It's 7 weeks of underwater stuff, major stuff. I'm going to get on the phone and start finding some water guys, and they're going to come in and work for me, and they're going to tell me how it's supposed to be. And they do this spectacular underwater stunt sequence, and it wins the Oscar. And you step up on stage
to take that credit
and take that credit as the stunt coordinator. It's so even that sometimes is a little bit unfair to the stunt performers, you know. So,
right.
I don't know. I'm not going to say it's a touchy subject. It's just that so much of the industry is completely oblivious to what we do and what it takes to do. I'll guarantee we as our capacity. I think I said this earlier, but I hope I'm not being redundant. Our capacity in stunts, we know more about every department, because we're constantly working with wardrobe, hair, makeup, special effects, you know, the transportation department, picture vehicles, working with the director, working with the cameraman,
with the actor,
working with the actor. We're so blocking of the scene, and we're the editor. That's going to be a good cut. That's going to be a bad cut. Hey, I think you're missing. I remember when I was doubling Tom Cruise on Far and Away, Ron Howard came to me, pulled me aside. He goes, "Hey, Corey, am I doing this right? Is this how you guys shoot fight scenes?" I'm like, I got Ron Howard asking
you how to shoot something.
Yeah, I'm like, you're doing it all wrong, Ron. You're doing it all wrong. No, I'm kidding. So I would work with him, and Walter Scott was like, "Yeah, go ahead, help him out."
Yeah,
you know,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I wanted to actually get in on some of the specifics of the what you got awards for. So you started with the first one. Trying to read my writing here, was with Get Carter back in 2001.
I don't think I won an award for that.
No, you didn't. You got nominated.
Oh, a nomination.
Yes.
For the car chase we did.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was your nomination. So what was that? Was that? I was trying to remember the car chase. It's been so long since I've seen
my
that
gosh.
movie.
It's funny. It wasn't too long ago that I saw a clip of it, and I went, looking back, one of the funnest car chases I ever did.
Yeah.
With Al Wyatt Jr. And it was for Spiro Rosados, was directing second unit. And you know how, you know this, maybe a lot of people don't, that we always shoot things out of continuity. We're going to shoot the ending first and then go backwards and shoot part of the middle and then shoot this. And then at the end of the shoot, we'll shoot the beginning. Because they did that, they missed out on a very, an accident stunt that would have been spectacular. And that was, I was driving that Cadillac. We're up in Seattle and I slid this corner. And Al Wyatt Jr. was coming down the hill because he was chasing me in this Jaguar. And Spiro wanted to have a mini ramp jump where, like, I slide the corner and he jumps and lands behind me. Well, when you slide a corner, you dissipate so much. You're losing so much momentum and speed that when Alan was coming down the hill and, you know, he had his foot in it, he hit the jump ramp and I saw in my rearview mirror, he went out of sight.
Oh, shit.
And I went, oh, my God, I hope he doesn't. And sure enough, landed right on my rooftop.
Oh, my gosh.
Going down this hill. And I'm like, I can't even stop because there was so much weight. So I did a little wiggle with the shoe and I pitched him off. I remember because he went into a telephone pole. Oh, no. But here was this great stunt because I went on. We could have gone on, but they had already filmed Sylvester Stallone arriving at the end of the location, at the end of the chase, and the car was undamaged.
Oh man!
So it was like, damn,
that would have been a great on.
Yeah,
and kind of comedic too.
Yeah,
in a way. Yeah.
But it was a shame. But yeah, that was a great film. I had a great time, and that car just handled great. It was awesome, and had a wonderful time on that. But we didn't win for that, did we? No.
You were nominated.
Nominated.
Yeah. So I was bringing up along with your nominations too. So and then you were nominated for one in a movie called Showtime.
With Robert De Niro and Eddie Murphy.
I don't recall this movie. When was this?
Showtime.
When was this movie made?
Jack Gill was a stunt coordinator.
Oh, okay.
Years ago. Showtime. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I don't even really remember much of what I did in that.
Okay. Well, that's probably when you doubled Robert De Niro? Is that when you were?
No, I doubled Robert De Niro on Midnight Run and Backdraft.
Oh, and Backdraft and Midnight Run.
Backdraft.
Okay.
For
great movies.
So funny. And I'm not a fan of Robert De Niro's at all. I'll just tell you that. Mm-hmm. But when I was in Sedona, Arizona, they had waxed my hairline. Put that little mole that he has. Mm-hmm. And I'm driving this Bronco, convertible Bronco, right? So they wanted to make sure I looked exactly like him. And so we're out at a location in Sedona, Arizona, waiting for him to show up. And he shows up, and Marty Brest, the director, and the DP walk around one of those viewfinders and put Bobby in the passenger seat next to me. And they're walking around to see, how much do I look like him and what angles would best sell. Mm-hmm. And he won't even look at me. And at the time, I was kind of a fan of his, right? Mm-hmm. From Raging Bull, and wanted to introduce myself, but he wouldn't look at me. Mm. He'd look at me and he'd look away. Look at me and he'd look away. So finally he looks at me and I go, aren't you an actor? What do you do exactly? And he goes, my name is Bobby De Niro. I say, hey, Bobby, Corey Eubanks. So like TV stuff, right? Commercials. I've seen you in commercials. And he says to me, he goes, so you're a comedian? I go, no, I'm a stunt driver. Now we fast forward onto Backdraft. Mm-hmm. And we come into Chicago, and I walk into the room, and there's Ron Howard, who I know Ron well, and his father actually rants, and I became writing partners, wrote some screenplays together that I actually directed and hired, at Ron's request, hired Rance and his brother Clint to play parts in these movies that I wrote and directed.
No kidding.
But I walk onto this set in Chicago, and from across the room, I see Robert De Niro and Kurt Russell and Scott Glenn and Ron Howard all talking, and Bobby, the guy who wouldn't look at me in the desert, right, sees me from across the room, and he goes, the comedian. I go, you're that actor guy from Sedona, Arizona.
That's funny, man. I like that. I'll remember that one, because you used that one on Stallone too, right? When you saw.
Well, yeah, I said, didn't you do a boxing movie years ago?
That's funny, man. Well, the movie Taxi, you got nominated, and you also won an award.
Yeah, now that's an award I would want to give back. The reason I say that is I was doubling Jimmy Fallon, and I also, and this is like, you shouldn't say that, Corey, you get yourself in trouble. And if you remember earlier in our conversation, I said it'd be humanly impossible for me to care less. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Henry Kinsey was doubling Queen Latifah. So you had a black man doubling a black woman. Henry's like a lot of different things, different nationalities. But there was this one shot that he didn't want to do for some reason. I don't know, having a bad day, and I had to throw the taxi slide up between these two parked cars in front of the hospital. Mm-hmm. And Henry wanted me to do that. So I did. I went and put on a wig and a blouse, and I've doubled Queen Latifah. I've also doubled Megan Fox, Kathy Bach, Cameron Diaz, a lot of women. But, so I broke all the rules that day, right? Wait, you doubled
the wrong sex and another race.
Yes. Yeah, you're going to jail.
Right.
Okay, I don't care.
Politically incorrect jail.
Yes.
Never coming out.
I only did it once. So, Yeah, so I'm doubling Jimmy Fallon on that, and really, Debbie Evans and I did some cool stuff. But the piece of footage that made the clip to win the award, I was in the background throwing a 180. It wasn't about what I did. I could have been off my mark. I could have not thrown a 180, but I just did a background. It was about the transfer of this girl between these two vehicles, and I just happened to be background dressing.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't deserve to have that trophy.
That's big of you to say.
But I took it, and I have it. No, it's not true. Right now, it's out at Fast House. Kenny Alexander has I think I'm wearing a shirt right now called Fast House, and he because I was doing a Stunt Stories show out there at his facility, and I brought my 3 Taurus World Stunt Awards and put them up, and
Oh, nice.
I just left them there.
Oh, you left him there?
Yeah, they're still there.
Wow.
But yeah, that would be one I'd be like, no, give it to somebody else who deserves it, because I wasn't an integral part of that stunt.
Right.
I was just background candy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then,
I know they do that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got some on my wall, actually. Let's see. I'm going to go down to the award you won. Oh, yeah. So you won you did win a World Tourist Stunt Award for Date Night.
yes,
Yeah. So what was that one? What did you do on that?
Dublin Steve Carell. The story behind it, and I will try to condense it because it's pretty big, but it's like, wow. I was doing the remake of Knight Rider, and we got canceled. And I'm driving out of the base camp. We just found out they came to the set to tell everybody, we're canceled. I'm like, have a great weekend. I'm like, thanks,
Thanks.
because I was a kit car driver
Yeah, of course.
on the remake.
Yeah, I remember that was like early 2000s. They tried to bring it back.
Yeah. And I get a call from a guy named Josh McLaughlin, who was once engaged to my sister. He was the first AD, come producer. He and I go way back when he was a second AD, and we were doing a show up in San Francisco called Crazy Like a Fox. And my first stunt coordinating job, No Man's Land with Charlie Sheen, with Josh's first job as a first AD. And anyway, so he calls me and says, hey, Corey, what are you doing? I go, well, this show I was working on just got canceled. Oh, perfect timing, because I got this show. We're going to this film. I want you to be the stunt coordinator and the second unit director. And it's called Date Night. Can you come pick up a script? I'm at 20th Century Fox. Yeah, I drive there, get the script, take it home, read it, go through the whole thing. He goes, I want you to meet with Sean Levy, the director. I said, okay. He goes, you got a reel, right? I go, a reel? It's like a director's reel to shoot? No, I don't. I've directed 21 one-hour TV shows. I've directed 2 feature films. I've directed, at that point, probably 60 second units.
Wow.
I've never had a reel. I've never had, here's what I've done.
Right.
No, never have. It's always been word of mouth. And so I go, no, I don't have a stunt reel. Can you put one together? I go, by Monday? No, I can't. All right, well, just read the script and take it. So I took the liberty when I read this car chase to make it more interesting, and went into this meeting and met with Sean Levy, who wanted to see my reel because he really wanted to hire Brian Smurs to be the second unit director, but he wasn't available. And so he's trying to find somebody else. And I don't know how many times he asked me if I had a reel. I'm like, what part of I don't have a reel don't you understand? I don't have one. So, but I said, hey, I took the liberty to change things up. Do you mind? So we moved the table. We're in his office at Fox. And I brought the little Matchbox cars and had it where the cars were connected nose to nose, driving backwards through traffic. And he loved it. Oh my God, that's great. How would you shoot it? And he goes, and so at one point I thought I won him over because he was like, okay, so Josh, so Corey's going to be the stunt coordinator and the second unit director? How would that work? I go, well, the way that works, Sean, is I hire all of my stunt coordinator buddies. We'll have like 5 or 6 stunt coordinators there on set every day. The best of the best, right. Watching my back to make sure I don't do something, when I'll focus on all the shots that are going to marry together with and stitch together perfectly with what you're shooting on first unit. It's not like I'm doing a bunch of whip pans and you're shooting long lens, racking focus. And
right.
So it's got to editorially it's got to match.
It's gonna match, yeah.
So, so anyway, he leaves and I go home And Josh calls me. He says, "Yeah, he doesn't want to. He has to see. He's one of those directors. He has to see a director's reel. Corey, who do you know that you could get? You'll be the stunt coordinator, and you'll double Steve Carell if that's what you want to do. But you need to find a second unit director. Try to get a hold of Spiro Rosados. He was doing something with Sly. Try to get a hold of Charlie Crawwell. He wasn't busy. I mean, he was busy doing something. They were going to get Chris Nielsen. And so he's like, well, Corey, don't you know of somebody? I go, oh, wait a minute. This is a comedy. Jack Gill. He did, Showtime, Wild Hogs. He's got a comedic, believe it. I think he might be good. And so I called Jack. Hey, Jack, do you want to take here's what's going on. I've got this show. Told him what I just told you. They don't want, I don't have a reel. No, I'll take the meeting. I said, oh, okay. I'll let them know. I'll give him your number. He goes, all right, talk to you later. Hangs up. I'm like, take the meeting. Not a, hey, thank you, Corey, or thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
I'll take the meeting. So I get a text message later on from Josh.
Because that's a pretty big, like plate of presents that you just kind of like.
Sure.
Right.
You would think. Yeah. So I get a call. I get a text message from Josh. He says, what the fuck? Jack just threw you under the bus. I'm like, what? What do you mean texting back? This is when text messaging was new. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. And I go, what do you mean? So he was meeting, I think the producer's name was Joe Grascioni or something like that. So it was Josh McLaughlin and this Joe guy. In a meeting, he asked Jack, who had a director's reel, how's it going to be working with Corey? He goes, and Jack said, quote unquote, by Josh, well, I'm going to have a talk with him because he sure wrecks a lot of cars. Well, guess what? Sometimes I'm hired
to wreck cars. That's what your job is.
That's my job description is 95% of the time. So they took it the wrong way. And so I'm mad. So I called Jack. I go, what the hell, dude? What did you say? He goes, oh, no, they knew I was kidding. I go, why would you even say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll make sure it's all good with him. Don't worry, Corey. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
So then I get a call from Josh. It says, well, Jack, they can't afford to put him on his DGA contract for the pre-production, but they can afford to put him on a stunt coordinator's contract. So Jack said he'll just download all the information to you so that when you guys start filming, you'll be up to speed. I said, Josh, you and I both know that's a recipe for disaster. There's no way. He's going to download to me all of those little hallway meetings and sidebar meetings you have with the costume designer or the props guy or the picture car guy or the special effects department. They go, who's this guy? We don't even know who Corey is. We haven't seen him at the production office once. I'm like, no, I'm not going to set myself up for that.
Smart.
So he hires his brother, Andy. So now I'm just going to be the Steve Carell double. And I show up. Oh, and Josh calls me about that. He's like, I'll pay you $1,000 over scale. And I'm like, whatever. So now I'm on the set, and Andy Gill is on the sidewalk with the little Matchbox cars, explaining to me the car sequence
that you came up with,
that I designed, or whatever you want to call it. I created. That I created. And I'm like, didn't say a word. I'm like, he's like, so Corey, do you understand what's going on here? You're driving backwards. And I'm like, yeah, I think I have an idea. Because Jack deliberately didn't have me come down to do the rehearsals. He had Debbie Evans do it one time and had somebody else, I think Terry Jackson do it the other, or somebody else, do the rehearsals driving this vehicle backwards. Wouldn't you want the person who was going to be doubling that actor driving that vehicle do that rehearsals? Never got invited. So long story short, we do this driving backwards, throwing a reverse 270-degree slide. That's a 180 with a 90 to go down a side street while missing traffic going both directions. Damn. Jay Lynch is my passenger. Jay's going to tell me when to crank the wheel, go right now. And so we do it 9 times, never hit a vehicle, nailed the mark every time. It was kind of a thing. Thank you, Jay. At the end of the day, you know, the Exhibit G, you sign out, see what your stunt adjustments are. Everybody got like a $400 blanket. And the girl who was in the car that I was pulling backwards, who had a dummy steering wheel, didn't even work. So she just sat there.
So she's basically a body.
A body. She was a passenger.
Yeah.
She got a $600 stunt adjustment, and I got nothing. You know that zero with a line through it? That's what it had on my Exhibit G at the end of the day.
What the F, dude?
And I said to Andy, I go, hey, Andy, I go, I just going to sign here, but I'm going to hold off in a sec. Because, you know, once you sign that Exhibit G, you're acknowledging, you're accepting what your time, your adjustments, meal penalties, everything. So my advice also to our stunt brothers and sisters is don't sign that until everything is on there that's supposed to be. It's become the norm now. Yeah, we'll text you what your stunt adjustment is.
Yeah, I've had that recently.
Yeah, it's just not right. It's actually against the SAG rules. But we're the stunt performers, and it doesn't matter because we don't have that respect. So Andy goes, well, you're going to have to go talk to Jack. Okay, so you're the stunt coordinator, and now I have to go talk to Jack about my stunt adjustment. I go, where is he? He goes, well, in his motorhome. He had his motorhome in base camp. So I go to the motorhome, knock on the door, open it up. Swear to God, true story. He's watching Hooper. And I'm like,
It's like a scene from a movie.
I know. You're watching Hooper, seriously, for the 90th time? I'm not sure, but Jack, can I tell you, yeah, what's up? I go, hey, Andy wanted me to come talk to you about my stunt adjustment. He goes, why? What'd you do? I go, what do you mean, what did I do? Well, what'd you do today? I go, what do you mean, what did I do today? You're the second unit director. You set the camera for every shot when I threw the 270-degree slide and went down the... That didn't take any special talent.
What?
I'm like, okay, is he messing with me? And dead serious. I said, are you serious? He goes, well, Debbie did it, and I think Terry or whoever it was, they all did it. Wasn't that, they said it's easy. I said, you know what, Jack, if that's how it's going to be, I'd prefer you just don't put me in those positions. He goes, hey, you don't even have to be here.
Wow.
And I extended my hand. I said, you know, it's probably best that I'm not. And he just went back to watching Hooper. And so I stepped out of his thing, shut the door gently, and got in my car and drove home and called Josh McLaughlin, the executive producer, and said, I quit. What? What do you mean you quit? I go, I quit. And I told him the story. So he called Jack and told Jack to tell Andy, give Corey whatever he wants as a stunt adjustment. I said, no. And Andy called me and said, no, I'm just done. I'm not going to be treated like that. So let's fast forward. It gets nominated for the Taurus World Stunt Award. And I win. And I'm at Paramount. I step up on stage. And I take because they have one up there to represent it's not yours. They mail you yours later on, but there's one there so you can pick it up and hold it.
Yeah.
And I step up to the microphone and I look right out in the audience and there's Jack Gill and his wife and kids. And I go, isn't it ironic that my boss at the time, I didn't say his name. I said, my boss at the time didn't even think that what I did deserved a stunt adjustment. But it was good enough to win the Taurus World Stunt Award. You know, and everyone crazy applauding and laughing. And so,
damn.
Yeah, that's what it, and it's funny because, I'm one of those, I forgive. I don't forget, but I forgive. And we all make mistakes. But it's still kind of why that happened, I don't know. And then I remember Spiro wanted us to work on another Fast and Furious film and wanted Jack and I to kiss and make up. And so he arranged for us to meet in Sherman Oaks and have lunch together. And we met and it was awkward and everything. And he was acting like, I don't even know why I'm meeting with you. And I said, he's like, you humiliated me in front of my family. I go, well, Jack, had you given me a $5 stunt adjustment, I couldn't have said anything.
You couldn't have said it, yeah.
But why didn't you give me a stunt adjustment? And he could not give me an answer. And I said, this is ridiculous. A waste of both of our time. And I just got up and left. So, but I've worked with him since, and I see him like, hey, you're Jack Gill. I love all your movies. How you doing? You know, give him a big hug. And life's too short, you know. But yeah, it's anyway. You mentioned that particular winning that stunt award. I will say yes, I deserved that. Yeah, to win that award.
That's
And just like and also. If I could jump ahead to people ask, what's the most dangerous stunt you've ever done? What are you most proud of? Without a doubt, it'd be my third Taurus World Stunt Award on Fast 5.
Yes, that was the next one I was going to ask you about. Yeah, because I actually before you had Heidi Moneymaker on here about a month ago, and she got a World Taurus Award for that Fast 5 vehicle. Unless maybe I have to go back and check. It's not the one. It's not the one where she transferred from semi trucks to car. That's probably another movie.
No, maybe that is what she did, because it was the one I did on Fast 5. I cannon rolled a prison bus 3.5 times, and it was going at Shauna Duggins. I was doing a head on with Shauna Duggins.
Shauna Duggins, okay.
And then swerved, and I did a cannon. And I will say, with hopefully not sounding braggadocious, but it sounds pretty, dramatic and special. But it's the biggest vehicular stunt in the history of filmmaking.
Wow.
It was a 42,000 pound prison bus. When they added, because a prison bus, much like the General Lee, was a unibody. There's no frame. So to put these cannons in it, they had to build a double-decker steel frame, which added 12,000 pounds of steel.
Damn. Wow.
And the cannon poles were 10-inch by 7 foot long.
Dang.
And there were 3 of them.
Oh, my God.
And these 3 7-foot cannons each weighed 385 pounds, and they had 52,000 pounds of nitrogen in each one of them.
Oh, my God.
All connected to one button to hit one switch to make them all fire and flip. And
you're driving a bomb.
Yeah, and it's it had a 4-to-1 quick steer, because in a bus, the steering wheel, it's 6 revolutions from lock to lock. You got to turn that steering wheel six times.
Wow.
To make the wheels go from here to here. When you're strapped in, as you well know, you can't do that. So we put a 4-to-1 quick steer, which was like, it felt like driving a go-kart. It was so responsive. It was like, whoa,
wow.
If I just do that, it might flop over, and very intimidating. It's like, and 42,000 pounds is 21 tons. So to take 21 tons down the road at 60 miles an hour and throw it 7 feet in the air, what's the impact going to be? Yeah. Well, Matt Sweeney, who was a special effects man, one of the best in the world, he just passed away. Great loss. He couldn't figure it out. And he was dealing with some of the physicists at UCLA, and they won't give you an exact answer until they know the temperature that day and the wind and the guys, it's cold, it's hot, it's the wind's blowing a little bit. Is that good? Yeah. No, they want to know exactly, right? So nobody would say, and I had to go down and watch the construction and the fabrication of this roll cage. And if you're in a bus, the window's right here. So we agreed, let's move the steering column and everything, the pedals into the center aisle and 7 feet back from the nose. So I'm and built like a pod. So I'd be in the center, But on the day when we went to go do it, only one cannon fired.
Really?
Yeah. And I needed to crash into the back of this. Justin Lin, the director, goes, I need you to crash into the back of this Charger that Paul Walker's in, and that's when you fire the cannon to go over it, but I need you to make impact into it. And I said, okay. Wow. Well, when I went down there and I, again, no rehearsal, did one drive-by to see if I can get up to speed, 60 miles an hour, and went to number 1, and we had 16 cameras, and we had a helicopter, which is a whole nother story, Fred North, where he hit my bus and wasn't supposed to.
He hit your bus?
Yeah, if you want to remind me about that, I'll tell you that story, because I think it's a good safety story for people to know.
Yeah.
That do what we do. But when I'd come down there, and I use a foot switch to activate my cannon so I can have both hands on the steering wheel at all times. And I had a foot switch, which tied into all 3 cannons, and I don't know if people might not know on these cannons, it's a ball valve that's got to roll open off a 2-inch line, and there's an arm on it. And so they take bungee cord and pull that bungee cord is going to roll, pull the arm to roll the ball valve open so that 52,000 pounds of nitrogen can go through, escape and go through the 2-inch line and go into the cylinder to push that 7-foot pole into the ground. And it all happens like that. It's like taking a .357 revolver and just shooting it into the ground, right? but it's air that does that. So the bungee cord wants to pull that arm open, so they ratchet it shut and take a piece of cable. It's got a little guillotine cutter that's got like a 22 caliber, it's gunpowder, but it's a guillotine. So when I'm hitting this one button behind or in front of my gas pedal, it sends the electricity to detonate those 3 guillotines that cut the cable simultaneously.
I see.
But in doing this, 2 different special effects men used 2 different size bungee cord, 1/2 inch and 3/4. So the guy who used the 3/4, there was so much pressure pushing up against the ball valve, it couldn't roll open. There was air pressure pushing too much against it, that the bungee cord wasn't strong enough on the 1/2 inch, only on the 3/4 that it rolled open.
Wow.
That's why on the first take, only one fired, and it crashed into the Charger, and it flipped onto its side, and it rolled up onto its rooftop, and it came back down and it settled on its side. I was livid because I was going down every week, twice a week, to watch them build this cage, and because this has never been done before, and how are we going to do this? And I'm seriously thinking about, Sweeney doesn't have from the UCLA physicists about the construction of this cage, what's going to be, and it's kind of been put on my shoulders.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to make sure there's as many triangles as I have, and make this thing strong. It was nerve-wracking for all of us to not know if this cage was going to collapse and just smash me.
Wow.
And I remember in my hotel room the morning of the stunt, and I knew we had to shoot the next 2 days after the stunt, all the lead-ups to it, right? And that's when he hit my bus with the helicopter. But I remember I had to be there for 2 more days, but I packed all of my stuff. And I put it in my suitcase by the door, and I thought, I sat on the bed, I go, why am I packing my stuff? I'm going to be here tonight. And I'm like, wait a minute, you think you're going to go to the hospital, or you're going to go to the frickin' morgue, and you don't want people in here picking up my dirty socks.
Wow.
And that's how I drove the work. And when I drove the work that day at the bottom of the Grapevine where we were filming, and it was cold and cloudy and ominous, it was weird, kind of a weird feeling. And I didn't have even any friendly welcomes from the crew members. Like, hey, Corey, how's it going? You're going to kill it today. It's going to be great. It was really weird. It's like, did we have a rap party last night? Did I get drunk and say things I pissed everybody off I shouldn't have said? Because I'm not getting any love, any feel from anybody here. Yeah. It was weird. It's also the only time ever my ear monitors didn't work that day. My ear monitors, I had custom made. They put, clay in your ears and then form your ears.
Mold it to your
ear. Then they take it out and they put the wire. So when I put those in, you don't hear anything except what's coming through your walkie-talkie. Well, for the first time, and I needed to have communication because we had 16 cameras to run in a helicopter, and the first time ever, my ear monitors didn't work. And I'm like, I'm a little superstitious. I'm like, that's not a good sign. That bothers me.
Yeah.
And then so Mike Gunther had to give me his ear monitors. And then when they were airing up the cannons, you got to get ready. You're like, they're going to air up the cannons. I'm fully strapped in, helmet on, ready to go. They got to the second air cannon, and it fired while I was sitting there.
Wow.
It just, the whole bus went boom and came down, and everyone's saying, get away from the bus, get away from the bus. And I'm going, oh, shit, what's going on? Just think happy thoughts, Corey. What's happening here? Well, the ball valve wasn't all the way shut, so as they were putting that 52,000 pounds of nitrogen in it, it was leaking through and going through the line into the cylinder, and that 385-pound pole is only held in with zip ties. So it got to over 3,000 pounds of pressure, and it just fired it.
Wow.
So I had to get out, and they had to figure that out, and they put more zip ties, and let's go for take 2 on airing up the tanks. But what we didn't know when the bus did this, it kind of tore the front right brake line. So now they got all cannons are aired up, but I can't get the air brakes to release because I didn't have enough pressure. And they're like, we're rolling all the cameras and the helicopter's hovering. We're ready to go. And okay, action, Corey. And I'm like, I can't get the brake. Now I have a microphone and a button on my chest. I can talk.
Right.
I'm like, I can't get the brake lines off. I don't have enough pressure. And I had to sit there and rev it up and rev it up and rev it up until finally I got enough. And then it kicked it. The brake came off, and I went to go. But Alan Padelford, who was in the arm in front of me, I don't know if it's the Edge arm or the Russian arm or the super duper arm. Everybody's got an arm now, but great tool for making movies, right?
Yeah,
but they were having a sidebar meeting apparently, and I thought I was going to punch the camera, but I'm moving, I can't not, and I'm like going, go, Alan, go, and finally, oh shit, here comes Corey, and we took off. But went down and did that stunt, and then when it came to a rest on its side, I was livid. I get a little intense when things like that, and you think
said it rolled 3.5 times?
No, the first time it only went onto its rooftop and settled.
But for this, it
No, we haven't gotten into that one yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This was the first one where it didn't work.
Oh, okay.
And finally, and I got out, and I felt like immediately I had to go to my own defense to say, hey, I hit the button. And they're like, oh, no, we know you did. Look at the gouge in the cement. It was a 6-foot divot with a big scratch mark where the cannon pole had fired. And Matt Sweeney goes, oh, no, we know you hit the button that fired the cannon, but those two are still in the belly of the bus for some reason. He's trying to figure it out. It's all activated off the same switch. How could that have happened?
Yeah.
And Sweeney goes, I don't know, but those are awfully dangerous, so let's bleed them out. Bleed out all that air pressure. So the effects guys climbed up there with some ladders and started to bleed out all the, for like, I don't know, 20 seconds we're hearing tss, and you're like, that's loud.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, one of the cannon poles just fires. Boom! Sailing hundreds of yards across the field and dart right into this hillside.
Holy crap.
That's what everyone went, holy shit, get away from the bus, get away from and the second one fires. Boom! And it fires through the air, and Matt Sweeney goes, I don't know what's wrong. Wow. I go, what are you talking about, dude? What do you mean? He goes, we didn't have enough bungee cord. And that's where he explained to me there was so much pressure pushing against it that on the 1/2-inch bungee cord, it didn't work. So now Justin Lin wasn't happy because he wanted to get a couple rolls, and we didn't. And they were scratching their heads on, well, we could live with this because we just needed to rescue Vin Diesel, who's a total jerk. He's not nice to nobody. And Paul Walker, what a great guy, though he was.
I've heard that.
But so now I'm following Matt Sweeney because he's talking to the execs at Universal in the tower. Why didn't it go good? What happened? He's like, well, why didn't it work? Well, it worked, but it didn't get all the roll. Well, only one cannon fired. Well, it's because we didn't have enough bungee cord. What would that have cost? I don't know, $7.50. But he didn't, no pun intended, but he didn't throw me under the bus.
Yeah.
He just said, hey, we didn't have enough bungee cord.
Yeah.
Well, if you had enough bungee cord, yeah, sure, we could do it again. Muffles the phone. Corey, you want another shot at it? I go, yeah.
Yeah.
So they get on the phone with Dennis McCarthy. Dennis, we need to take this bus and make it look like it's brand new again. It looked like a loaf of bread that someone stepped on. I'm like, there's no way. I even told my wife, Sally, I said, there's no way we're doing this again. No, she's all, babe, I'm sorry. Sometimes things don't work out the way. I'm like, doggone it. Well, Dennis McCarthy went up to Lompoc Prison and got another bus, brought it down. And these fabricators, I think it was like 27 of them, they stripped off every piece that was damaged from my bus and took it from the new bus, and they flip-flopped it. They replaced it.
Wow.
Most incredible thing I've ever seen.
It's amazing.
They had GoPro cameras on the time lapse, like,
oh, yeah.
Was it every minute or 30 seconds it takes a photo?
Yeah.
Incredible. Looked like a bunch of ants just, eating a carcass and rebuilding another gazelle over here. And they made this. So now I realize, oh my God, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
I pull Matt Sweeney aside. I say, Matt, come here. I said, I don't know if you noticed, but I went in and I inspected the pod, and it bent on one top when it rolled over. Because, these buses aren't like a school bus. They're not as strong as we thought they were. So what are you thinking? I go, do we have more tubing? Could we make a secondary roll cage? He goes, absolutely. If that's what you want, that's what we'll do. I will give me 2 more hoops right here and 2 more here. So we built our own crumple zone. So now when we fast forward to go do it again, now the day was bright and sunny. And now everyone's smiling. Everyone had a little pep in their step. Everyone had kind of that energy, like we're gonna.
That's fascinating. Man.
Yeah, we're gonna nail it today, man. And hey, Corey, how you doing? You ready to do this? I'm like, yeah. And it was just the energy was there.
Yeah.
Everyone was on a positive vibe. And I'm like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm like, I'm not going to do anything different. Here comes Justin Lin. Corey, hey, good luck today. Good luck. Oh, hey, by the way, could you do me a favor? I go, what? Well, I was watching the footage of when you crashed into it. I know I asked you to crash into the Charger, but it hit so violently. It looked like it would have killed Paul's character. So can you just go over it? And I was like, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I go, sure, Justin. It's just like a feather. I'll just go right over the top of it. And I turned and I walked away. Oh no, what a ridiculous thing to ask me. I'm like, what do you mean? So on my approach coming in, they parked the Charger in the same exact spot. It was a different one because the other one looked like an accordion that got smashed. But I saw my skid marks. I'm like, oh. As I'm coming in at 60 miles an hour, I'm like, I'll just do it sooner. And I just went a little bit before it, and it was all luck. I went right over the top of it. Wow. Never touched it. Rolled 3.5 times right down the highway and ended up. But as it was rolling, I could hear the secondary cage, those pipes, that tubing, that 2-inch 120 DOM tubing, ping, ping, snapping, breaking, coming apart.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, I'm going to get crushed. And I was trying to get lower in my seat, but I couldn't get any lower. And finally came to a rest upside down and climbed out and won the Taurus World Stunt Award for that.
Yeah.
And I was super, super proud of myself for facing my fears and doing something that no one has done before. And someday maybe someone will say, yeah, it used to be the biggest vehicular stunt in the history of filmmaking. Now it's this. But until then,
you got it. What an amazing story, man.
Yeah.
That is cool. I love how, I mean, first of all, doing something that nobody else has been done and having to figure it out, that right there, just that alone takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of, I don't know, just a drive, that you want to do something nobody else has done,
But, and not stripping credit from anybody else that was involved in that, because there was, like I said, if it wasn't for those 27 fabricators, we never would have had take two. If it wasn't for Mike Duenas and the guys who build the roll cage, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. It was a whole team. Matt Sweeney, his guys. It's a long list of guys who
made that happen. Yeah.
I just was lucky to be the one that Mike Gunther asked if I could do it. And it was funny because it wasn't scripted.
Really?
No. And it was something they thought of after we finished. And I got a phone call from Mike Gunther. He says, hey, do you think you could flip over a prison bus? Now, remember the story of me doing the pipe ramp on Fall Guy and 8 times? I was on such an adrenaline high driving home that day. And I lived in Agoura, California. And I was on the freeway, 101 freeway, and I was following a prison bus that was going to Lompoc. And I remember thinking to myself, gosh, someday that'd be so awesome to flip over a prison bus. They'd never write that. That's too big. It's probably too dangerous. That'll never happen.
That's crazy, man.
Isn't that crazy? Careful what you wish for, right?
What you wish for.
Yeah. So here's Mike Gunther calling me. He says, hey, they want to stitch together the ending of Fast 4 with the beginning of Fast 5, and they've left Vin Diesel on a bus, so they got to hijack the bus somehow, so they're thinking they're going to cut him off and cause the bus to flip. And if you think that you can, because Justin Lin, the director's asking me if it can be done, and I just didn't know, do you think you can do it? I go, I think I can, and I would love to. But I didn't know how,
Yeah.
And then out there with Matt Sweeney at the location, looking at it, because at one point we tried to just pull the bus around with a cable to get it sideways. That wouldn't work because the engine's in the back and it was too heavy. And we're out there with the stick and the dirt trying to draw out a game plan. Is that how they do it?
Wow, that's amazing, man.
It was a crazy experience.
Yeah. So, what about injuries? What have you? You said you had some concussions through the years.
Yeah.
What injuries have you had to make your way through the years, or
Well, but a lot of my injuries came from rodeoing, like my broken collarbone and fractured shins and a few concussions. Right, getting bucked off the back of a bareback horse. But I've had third-degree burns. I've had skin replacements.
Wow.
From a film I did with Pam Anderson called Barbed Wire, which is fun because
I remember that one.
I then directed her on a TV show she did called VIP. And she actually, it's on my finger right here. There's a little piece that there was a 3rd degree they had to cut off and take some from my forearm to put it on, and I blamed it on her, trying to make her feel bad. But, I had fractured my shins on Poltergeist 3 in Chicago, and just multiple concussions. I think the last time I counted, believe it or not just from stunts, but from boxing, from rodeo, and I've had 14 concussions.
Oh my gosh.
The last mild concussion I've had was, we mentioned Shauna Duggins. From Shauna's show, I did I cannon rolled a navigator on a show called Lincoln Lawyer out in Lancaster. And when you're doing a cannon, and if you're on an asphalt or hard surface and you're hitting and going, it's all about disbursement of energy. It's like toss a golf ball and it goes ting, 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 ting.
Like skipping a stone.
Yeah, but if you toss a golf ball into a sand trap, it goes boom. Well, your head is your brain's floating inside your skull, right? And if you hit the brakes too hard, you're going to get, your brain will slap up against. Also, if you're dehydrated, something that stunt performers need to know. If you're going to do something with a chance, a possibility of hitting your head, all that day, the morning of, drink a lot of water. Your brain will actually swell and reduce the amount of distance between your brain and your skull, alleviating that snap, that slap. So out in the desert, I didn't do that. Also, let me back up. The prior Tuesday for Buddy Love on Lone Star 911, I cannon rolled a armored truck, 25,000 pound armored truck in Long Beach, California, which is funny. I live in Texas, and and Lone Star 911 is supposed to be in Texas, but I have to leave Texas to come to California to do a stunt that's supposed to take place in Texas.
Only in Hollywood.
Only in Hollywood, right? So I do this. Jimmy Lorimer was the one who built the cage, and we had one 10-inch, 7-foot cannon with 1,000 PSI. And the vehicle weighed 25,000 pounds, and it flipped 3.5 times, 3 3/4 times. It ended up on its side. That, it shook me a little bit, but tweaked my back because it wasn't my stunt seat. My stunt seat had already been, put in another vehicle. And so I did that on a Tuesday. Then the following Wednesday, I do that Lincoln Navigator for Shauna. And I think maybe those two stunts were too close together. But that one I was doing 65-ish out there in the desert and got off the asphalt into the sand. And that's when it really, those impacts were just so, it wasn't the ting, 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 ting. It was the disbursement of energy. It was thunk, 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 and I just slammed my brain up against my skull too much. Did not knock me out. Tim Trella got to me first. Tim Rigby was there, and they pulled me out, and actually we were laughing and giggling and looking at the footage. Oh my God! And great. And it was maybe 45 minutes later. I just kind of took a deep breath and went, "Whoa, my whole world's spinning." But this set medic, and I'm not usually a fan of set medics. This guy was watching me like a hawk.
Really?
Circling me. And he finally came up and he goes, "Are you okay?" I go, "Nope, I'm not. Been here, done this. I know. I think I got a mild concussion." And so we went to the hospital. They did a CAT scan, and it's basically a little bruise on the brain.
Brain bruise.
Yeah. So, that happened. So that's probably been the only other thing that had was back on the Dukes of Hazzard when they wanted to get rid of me. They had a roll cage inside of a Camaro that they didn't finish. And Craig Baxley Sr. was the psyche unit director, stunt coordinator. And they had me do a pipe ramp over a creek into a hillside that was shaped like a catcher's mitt. In this Camaro. And I was at that point in my career, I wanted to really try to impress them, so I'm going to go for it. I didn't know what a good roll cage was and what a bad one was. I didn't know what an unfinished roll cage looked like. I just assumed that, this must be safe because they're asking me to do it, and I need to prove to them when I've got the heart, and I'm going to go for it. And I ended up sailing this vehicle into the hillside, and it just went boom, and the roll cage collapsed, and it compressed my vertebrae and so I've got a compressed vertebrae on one side that's never. When you do an X-ray of my back, it looks like a piece of string that you just kind of put a kink in it. It kind of like makes a little S turn from that. Another concussion was on Pee-wee's Big Adventure when that bucking bull hit me in the head with its horn. You know how embarrassing it is to go to the hospital dressed as Pee-wee Herman? You know how humiliating that is? And I had to do it twice. Twice. And they don't know that you're a Hollywood stuntman working on a movie. You're just some freak that comes in the door dressed like Pee-wee Herman claiming some bull hit you in the head with its horn. It's horrible. And then the second time when I crashed the bicycle, I had to jump a bike over a fence, a 14-foot high fence. Missed all the cardboard boxes and just lawn darted right in on my head. And next, on another gurney, going into another hospital, and there was this cute
Pee-wee Herman's back.
Yeah, he's back again. You know that guy that thinks he's a stuntman? Apparently, he's not very good. And I remember that. But that day in Burbank, the hospital, there was like this cute nurse, and I remember trying to like be flirtatious, and I caught a glimpse of myself in one of the mirrors, not the mirror, one of the doors that had the glass.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, the little red bow tie and stuff. I'm like, God.
I have a slightly similar story. I was doing the Batman live action show up in Valencia, California, in Six Flags, and there's a part in the show where you get yanked up by your feet up to about 18 feet or so, and it's supposed to like poison ivy has wrapped you up in a thing, right, and you're dangling upside down. And I came out of the safety carabiner clip from up there, and I bounced off part of the stage and then went another 12 feet down to the concrete.
Oh my God.
But I think I probably got a concussion. They never really checked me that well.
You're lucky to be alive.
Yeah, lucky to be alive. But I remember because when they were taking me to the hospital, the guy's calling in on the ambulance. He's like, yeah, we got a 26-year-old male coming in, possible head injury, dressed as Batman. And the lady goes, did you say Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah, Batman. Okay, you can hear him laughing.
Yeah, we got a freak.
Some
freak from the streets.
Well,
thinks he's Batman.
They get me to the hospital, and they open the ambulance doors, and there comes the people that gurney me back into the hospital. And I remember the one lady goes, because the suit they gave us was great, like the costume was really good. She's like, "Oh my God, it really is Batman." But yeah, it was fun.
It's hard to explain. We're making a movie.
Yeah.
I went to the hospital dressed as Ben Stiller.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One last hospital story. Have you heard of the legendary stuntman Tommy Huff?
Tommy Huff. Yes.
Tommy Huff, Stunts Unlimited. One of the OGs of the stunt world. Just used to be a boxer, but double tough Tommy Huff.
Double tough Tommy Huff.
We had a head-on collision on Dukes of Hazzard. That's a whole nother story. But I was driving on the floorboard. It was supposed to be remote control driven, and we had a miscommunication, and we had a head-on collision. And so myself and Clifford Happy and Russell Solberg, we all go to the hospital in Valencia. And I was driving on the floorboard, as I mentioned, being given direction over a walkie-talkie. To your left, to your right. And I'm covered with Dubatine, black cloth, right? I can't see. I'm on the floor.
Right.
Operating the gas and the brake with my right hand and the steering wheel with my left.
Wow.
Head-on collision.
Dang.
So we all go to the hospital, and Clifford Happy, he sounded like a cat that had its paw caught in a car door or something, just rah, and so they took him into one room like, he needs medical attention right away. Russell Solberg was complaining because he was pissing blood from the seatbelt because we didn't know we were going to hit head-on, and so they took him into a room, and doctor comes to me, or the nurse, whoever it was, and says, "What's wrong with you?" I go, "Well, I got the emergency brake got me in my back because I was on the floor. It kind of hurts." And she goes, "Well, you're going to be fine. Here, lay on this gurney right here in the hallway." I'm like, "Okay." So I lay on this gurney. 20 minutes. I'm laying there. All of a sudden, I hear another gurney coming down the hallway. Squeaky wheel. Never forget that. Squeak, squeak, squeak. And that gurney, they parked this right next. I see feet, and then a man's head, and he's moaning, going, "Oh, motherfucker." For like 5 minutes. And I'm like, I got to ask. I go, "Excuse me, sir, were you in a car accident?" He goes, "No, I'm a stunt man. I was working on this show called Airwolf, and I was doing what they call an air ram, and we overshot the pads, and I hit a rock and broke my fucking hip." I'm like, wow,
What?
you're a stuntman. He goes, yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
I go, what's your name? He goes, Tommy Huff. He goes, what are you in here for? I go, well, my name's Corey Eubanks, and I was on Dukes of Hazzard. I'm also a stuntman, and we had a head-on collision. He starts chuckling. He goes, couple stuntmen meeting in the hallway of a hospital. I guess we're not very good, huh? And we shook hands.
That's hilarious.
That's how I met Tommy Huff, yeah.
Wow. That is so good. That's a scene from a movie right there, man.
Yeah, a movie, you go, that would never happen.
Yeah, that would never happen.
No, it did. Yeah.
Well, they just have a wing of that hospital maybe where they take all the stunt guys too, you know.
Yeah. Keep them all down there.
All right, everyone, we're going to wrap up episode 2 here with Corey, but please tune in next week for the exciting conclusion. Believe me, you don't want to miss it. So subscribe so you get that notification. Please like, please share.